Well, hello and welcome to Narrowboat Baldrick, where I'm recording my progress with my fixer-upper narrowboat. Now, I wanted to record this just to show Narrowboat Will. He's not the only one. I can't remember if it's one of his more recent videos or one of his older ones I was watching the other day, where he was showing us how he uses these bungees to close his doors. Hi. Welcome to... Oh. Hi. Welcome to Narrowboat Baldrick. I'm just down in the boat for an hour or so. I want to do a little bit of work on my gearbox, so I'll tell you a little bit about the background on that. When I got lifted in 2 videos back, maybe? Yeah, video 37. I didn't really notice at the time, but what was happening was when I came from astern into neutral and then forwards, the Morse lever was having to travel quite a long way before it would clang in with a frightening big noise, because what it should do is the clutch cones should engage. You've got a forward one and a reverse one, or a stern one, and they should engage as soon as the fork inside moves the detent over, or moves the clutch cones over. And it should start to engage straight away because the surfaces will grip. And what happens is that the surfaces, particularly on forwards, for some reason, I guess because you use it more, over time they will wear, and so it doesn't grip straight away, it keeps slipping when it should be gripping. And so the effect of that with a combined Morse control is that you keep pushing it forwards, but of course it's a dual controller Morse controller, so you end up with your RPMs very high before it finally bites and clicks in with a huge clang, as my friend Hugh said last night. Did you say clang, Hugh? I think it was clang you said. Maybe it was clunk. Either way, it was an appropriately onomatopoeia word. And it's frightening when it does it because, you know, you worry about the clutch plate. I've got a brand new clutch plate in that bell housing from when I put the new engine on. You know, they're the best part of £200, plus all the hassle of fitting them. I didn't want one that to break, but I was kind of stuck once I was in. So I brought her back, as you know. Incidentally, I might have lost 90% of the videos. That video 39 I put out a few weeks ago with the rock music over it. That might be all you're getting of my journey back, apart from a couple of little snippets from WhatsApps I sent to people. I'm going to try and recover it, but I'm not hopeful. I stupidly forgot that with a digital camera, so I was using my DJI, you have to format the SD card, don't you? And I haven't had a digital camera since they were first a thing back in the 90s. So I've totally forgotten that you have to do that. So it's annoying that in the effort to improve the vlog, I moved from using my phone, which I'm now talking to using that thing because it does 4K. But it actually meant that I lost probably some of the best footage I'll ever take. Standard. These are the slings and arrows of boating fortune, I suppose. But we'll put it down to experience. But anyway, yeah, so I had this issue then, but I was already committed to the journey, so thankfully it held up, but it did get progressively worse as I got nearer home. Not a problem if once you're in forward you can keep going forwards, but when you get in locks and you're having to go backwards and forwards, that can be a real issue. So, for example, this is taken from my friend Ben's wide beam who I travelled up with. You can see Baldrick just past the nose of him there, heading into the huge lock at Goole, where you come off the tidal ooze after going round the Trent Falls apex. And this is a huge lock, and there was no sort of these covered steel hawsers down the side that you can pop a rope round to stop you moving. And so we got into this huge lock, and when the locky opened the paddles, or however they do it on these, there you go, you can see me there. I was bobbing around like a cork in that thing, and if my gearbox had been clicking in or clunking in whenever I wanted it to, that would have been fine, but I was starting to have real issues here because they kept us outside for over an hour,
after our booking time, and we were against the tide coming up the ooze, and so it was a real strain on the gearbox going backwards and forwards constantly for all that time. After about half an hour, I took it over to the pilings and tied on, but the damage was done, I think, by then. Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
I've got a story about a lock, which I'll get back to another time. It's a bit of whining and criticism, actually, but we'll leave that alone for now. So, what I am going to do is try a trick that I've read about on some of the canal forums, just in case it isn't that the clutch surface is worn, because some people have said that if it was sat a long time, which this was, what can happen is the clutch surface can be saturated with the engine oil that was in it. Now, engine oil is what PRM, mine's a PRM 120 mechanical gearbox. Engine oil is what they used to say to use in the gearbox. They changed that advice a little while ago to using ATF, automatic transmission fluid. So when I had the box put onto the new engine, when I did top it up, I used ATF because that's the current advice. But I'm now wondering if perhaps if the clutch surface was saturated with engine oil and then I put ATF on it, which maybe it's lighter or heavier, who knows. That then means I've got essentially two different slippery surfaces against each other. So this trick I've seen about is you drain off your gearbox and you put diesel in to act as a solvent and run it for a short period. I don't know what that actually constitutes, but I'll try that and see if it makes a difference. I really don't expect it to. I think given the age of the boat, it's going to be a worn clutch cone. So I'll try this, but we'll see. But if that is the case, then options are a brand new PRM 120, which will cost me about just shy of £2,000, which, I don't have that in my back pocket. That's why I'm doing up an old boat. Or I can try and fix it up so I can buy a clutch cone pack and a new gasket pack, and then I can rebuild it. That's an option, but you're not going to get much change out of £500 for that. Or you can buy a reconditioned one for about £900, but then you're taking a gamble on whether the person that reconditioned it has properly reconditioned it with new clutch cones and everything and new gaskets, or if they've just cleaned it and changed the oil. You hear horror stories, and the second-hand boat market, in my experience, is even more dodgy than the second-hand car market, and that's saying something. So it's a difficult thing. One of my fellow members of the boat club here said to me, "You're not going to want to hear this, but what you need to do is take out that mechanical gearbox and put a hydraulic gearbox in, because apparently the mechanical gearboxes just aren't made for canal work. All the backwards and forwards constantly, it does wear them, and they're really designed with sort of coastal work in mind, where a fishing boat or a working boat or whatever is going to be in forward most of the day, not constantly changing. So you've got these mechanical parts wearing and degrading. So that's the problem with the mechanical gearbox. So I looked at PRM's hydraulic gearbox. It's what called a PRM 150, and it operates with a proper clutch pack, so several plates, interlocking plates, and the movement isn't done mechanically. It's done by opening a control valve, and the hydraulic fluid under pressure flows into the control valve and moves things smoothly without a clang, hopefully. So that's where I am with options at the moment. So I'm going to go and do that. Also, while I'm running the gearbox, that will warm up the engine oil, because I'm now at 50 hours. That means the engine's running, this new engine. So I need to change the oil in case there's any bits of swarf and metal and whatnot stuck. So I'm going to go and try and drain the gearbox, pop some diesel in, and then I'll run it for 5 minutes, I guess, and I'll try and engage. Well, maybe I won't try and engage the gear. I'll need to, won't I? I'll see how it goes. I'm just thinking, do I want to waste more ATF? But if I go down the PRM 150 route, I won't need ATF anyway because they're still running on engine oil. So yeah, I'll drain off the diesel when I've done that, and see about. Yeah, I'll drain the oil off out the engine as well, probably. No, I'll try the gearbox, then I'll drain the engine. You see, it's not straightforward. Boats is never straightforward. Before I do, I just saw I got a shout out and a channel mention on Just Two People. So here's one back at you. Just Two People, I love it. If you haven't watched it, it's a Scots lady and an American chap, and they've sold up and relocated onto a canal boat full time in England, and that takes some stones to go ahead and do that. So respect, and I love that when they came over, they actually didn't fly. They took the Queen Mary too, which is fabulous. Start as you mean to go on, I guess. So that's well worth a watch. They've sort of dabbled in narrowboats for a few years, and watching their experiences is great. I highly recommend that, and I'll put it in the comments, the link to their channel. And also a shout out to Narrowboat Will. You know, you're daft as a brush, mate, but you've been a real help to me in your videos. What I like about your videos, and what I've tried to emulate, but probably not as well, is that when you're doing a job, you get right into the nuts and bolts. You show us exactly what you're doing, what the issues are, outcomes of it are. You know, it's not just a magic wand and right, I've done that job. You actually show us what you're doing, and that's been so useful to me, mate. As I've said on your channel a few times, we've had little conversations. So keep up the good work, Narrowboat Will, as well. And again, highly recommend you watch Narrowboat Will. He's been doing this several years now, and yeah, I might consider you one of the OG boat tubers at this point. Up there with Cruising the Cut and CHG as well, Country House Gent. So, right, let's crack on and get on with this. Right.
Okay, so I didn't actually get to start the job, but I did find out the things I needed to do the job, which I didn't have with me. So next time I go down, I will be taking my 1/2-inch drive spanner with me.
This is set. Ended up getting it for free. It was only about £24. When it came, the clasps were broken. So I complained, said, just send me another box, that's fine. I'll keep the sockets there fine. And they came back and said, no, we don't just do the boxes, just keep it and here's your money back. Which was nice. So I can use it at least to find the actual size that I need. Right, 24 is too small. 27. That fits up, but it feels a bit slack. And that's the only one I've got now. That's 24. 27. I'm calling it. I've run out of time. I need to head off and see my daughter play her last ever netball tournament up near Halifax. So I'm going to pack up, and I know what I need to bring next time. A 1/2-inch drive socket. All this stuff. I'm in a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. All my stuff. I forgot that. Annoying. But I have some knowledge about what I need to do now, so that's fine. I'll come when I've got a bit more time, which is probably going to be at least a week.
Okay, well, thanks for watching. I'm going to try and put some clips together, the surviving clips from my journey back. I'll post them in the next week or two.